an audience.
Okay, and what are those levels of analysis?
I use 3 levels of dreams, and when there's an impact at a very high level, you can see it propagate through the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a... In a certain sense, it's the opposite of dimensionality reduction. Or maybe each level is like a dimensionality reduction in a different way. I don't know. What did you call it?
Multiple levels of analysis.
Yeah, or multi-angle analysis.
It's like even when the car curves,
yeah,
you see at the second level of the gravity. Okay,
right.
they're in the restaurant, right? And the gravity shifts.
Yeah.
And so there's this very real, visceral sense that every dream is instantiated physically in every other dream.
Huh. That's different.
Recursive dreams.
You know, this is Strauss, right?
Oh.
Also Strauss Zarathustra.
You wish, but that shit's good. Wait. Also Strauss Zarathustra is Wagner. Not Strauss, right?
Not Strauss?
But this is neither. This is on Mars.
Yeah.
It's from the planets.
Yeah, I thought that was Strauss.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that movie is from Mars?
Planets is not Host.
Host.
Damn it, I knew it. Alright, cool. Yeah, you're right. I listened to that.
It's my music, sorry.
No, dude, I listened to that shit back when I did speech and debate after I crushed my first tournament.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and my high school. I was like 15. It was like, you know, back then it was like I was just kind of like crushing it at for whatever it means for a 15-year-old to crush it. Like I was
spreading day in day out.
What? Oh, spreading? Yeah. Well, trying to spread.
Yeah.
But you know, like I was in debate camp and I was like having my first experience, like one of my first experiences actually doing well at debate because freshman year had been a bust.
It's a hard.
First experience, first make out with a girl, like it was all just like, and I was like pacing through. My roommate was like, "What the fuck are you listening?"
Was it college freshman?
What?
Was it college freshman?
No, high school freshman.
Oh, high school. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, I was
so
15. Yeah, and so then I was like walking around with my roommate, and also like oh crap. Okay.
These are my favorite classical pieces, and Strauss is present for sure. But
yeah. Well, I was walking around and I was walking around listening to music, and my roommate / debate partner was like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And I was like, "This." And he was like, "What do you?" And I gave him an earpiece, and he was like, "You're so fucking full of yourself, man."
Oh really? Grandiosity. Yeah, I guess
if you're walking around listening to this after you go ahead and listen to a debate for 20 minutes, that is a little bit narcissistic.
That's interesting. I mean, typically war is sacrificial. And it's, well, perhaps narcissistic in the sense that, like, you think you want to be involved in large things. But there's just as much larger than self in it as there is for myself in it.
That's true. That's very true. Do you think that depends on whether you're E or O, though? Whether you're E schedule or O schedule? Like, what are the officers sacrificing?
I guess, So when you say E or O, are you referring to, like, where you are in the physical setup? Like,
well, if you...
whether you're, like, front lines or...
No. If you're... I'm sorry, I'm specifically referring to, the American military. So if you enlist, then your pay schedule and promotion schedule is E, like E1, E2, E3, E4.
You're an officer.
Right. And then and then if you get commissioned, then you're officer. Then it's O1, O2, O3, O4.
Cool.
You move up the officer chain. So you know, if you're in the E chain, it's private, and you move all the way up to sergeant, right? Whereas in the other one, you know, you start off as officer. When you're first commissioned, you start off as like lieutenant and move all the way up to general.
But I presume that the realities of the military in the United States don't occur to a 15-year-old listening to Holst.
No. Yeah, I didn't really think about this as being about war. Like, even though I knew that Mars was the god of war, obviously.
Right.
But like, I wasn't thinking about
Greek
mythology. I was just thinking about the song.
I mean, the very least you might have seen Star Wars, right? It's very like, dun,
Oh, yeah.
dun, 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 dun. It's very powerful and driving, and you can feel that something is coming.
Yeah.
It's something. I don't know if you found Strauss in here.
I didn't see Strauss. But
I
I have a talent for missing things.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a
So-
huge Strauss fan.
By the
There's
way-
a few some things that are really What's your thought?
Oh, I just said it. We never introduced.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Ari.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. You're Jeremy.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Jeremy.
having me over.
Yeah, welcome.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Longtime friend of Alex. We met on Quora, I think, back in 2013 when I was a
Quora.
little high schooler.
When Cora was reasonable.
Yeah.
That was something. I mean, it still has quality content, I think, but its signal to noise ratio is completely off.
Yeah, and the machine learning is poor, unfortunately.
Machine learning is poor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
really bad. Yeah, didn't they have really good engineers for a while?
They did. They
That's
attracted.
part of the problem.
They attracted the best. I know. In 2003 and 2004, they attracted the best of the best, and then something happened.
It's definitely overfit. Like,
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
look through my feed, I see the same 7 questions over again, and the questions aren't
Exactly.
anything that I'm actually super interested in.
Oh my god, it'll be interesting to go through people's random feeds. But yeah, I think it just goes after feeds of after content you've recently uploaded or viewed, and then some people in their followers or whatever. But yeah, even for me, usability is shit. It used to a lot of it worked back when everyone was good. In which case, you don't need the physics and machine learning in order to surface good content.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But also, they had very severe over-optimization problems where people would click on, 1 or 2 links, and the
Yeah.
algorithm would immediately put them into a hole where they couldn't find any recommendations which weren't for the content that was similar to the 2 links that they had clicked.
How do you know this? Because of core engineers you talk to?
Like a very naive version of gradient descent where you just get stuck in a local minimum.
Yeah, that's right. And getting out of the local minimum was really challenging because everything was so similar to the things in the minimum.
Oh yeah.
You would have to basically only be doing the exploration.
Yeah, the thing is, how exactly do you optimize find a mind that wants to explore and optimize for all that new content?
Oh, that's meta.
Clustering. Anti-clustering.
I don't know what anti-clustering is. What that's
The opposite of clustering.
Okay.
Surface topic,
Dispersion.
dispersion in the data or feeds.
So what does that look like concretely?
Dispersion in data, it's something that it's like try to find. Sometimes it's kind of like what it recommends to a new person. There's a lot of dispersion because it recommends a lot of dispersed topics that you haven't seen before. It's like,
So typically those are different clusters.
yeah, those are different clusters.
The idea of anti-clustering is interesting. So you can have a linkage criterion for your cluster that says connect the data points that are farthest away from each other, but that are under a threshold. So you can do mini-maxing or maximum. That would be a novel clustering algorithm.
It's one of those things that it's easy to define the criteria and implement, but you don't. But after you've deployed it to production, you still don't quite understand what the fuck you just did.
Oh yeah, definitely on an individual level, and a lot of cases even at a collective level.
You could do it ontologies.
Distorted all of your feedback because if you have a bunch of metrics that you're using to tune all of your systems, and then you set up some totally new way of interacting with the thing that creates changes in the metrics. I don't know, it's really tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but typically, you have diversity metrics, and
Yeah, diversity metrics.
are respected. At the very least, you have a distance score between the set of recommendations that we're giving, and you make sure that your recommendations span a particular distance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to. I don't know if there's nothing. Maybe. Also, a lot of this stuff is immature, so maybe I feel privileged from assuming that they would know about techniques that were invented after Friday film.
I guess so. I mean, I feel that they butchered a task that isn't I'm trying to think,
Or not, so the clustering usually, you'll take all of the possible recommendations and take the ones that are similar to one another and put them in a cluster.
Yeah.
You serve recommendations to a user, you serve, say, one recommendation from each cluster instead of serving all of the highest scoring recommendations.
Yeah, yeah.
You give the highest scoring recommendations from each cluster.
Yes, yes.
Guaranteeing that we get a diversity of recommendations.
Yes, yes.
And this is a really basic way to avoid accuracy.
Yeah, yeah.
Even that.
I feel like a certain amount of it has to be manual just for Quora, because what I found, like, I found that there was there was a lot of, like, people that, like, there was a lot of really cool people whose answers didn't necessarily get any more upvotes, and weren't necessarily any better written, but they were just unambiguously better content, because it was, like, something by, like, an Air Force commander, or, like, a, you know, like, I don't know, some, like, historian, you know, historian at Harvard, or, you know, someone that, like, you know, like, not, like, if you just were to purely analyze, like, the impressions and the, like, ratio between, like, views, eyeballs to votes, right, or any of that type of stuff, like, they wouldn't necessarily outperform a lot of, like, just dumb people who write stuff that is kind of relatable, right? Unless, you know, right, even necessarily, right, especially dumb people with good grammar, right?
Yeah.
By the way, Summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer
The
Vivaldi.
beginning or the end?
It's the, hold on a second. It's definitely not the middle one.
Definitely trivia.
Hold on a second.
Oh, I know that this is from Simcopter.
That's from what?
Simcopter.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, this is the...
Simcopter was GTA before GTA existed.
Oh,
With
Grand
GTA
Theft Auto has...
GTA with a copter.
I actually have... I need to use the... Okay, if it's okay, I just had a shit ton of beer, so for the next, like, 20 minutes, I'm going to be
Use the bathroom.
using the bathroom.
Yeah,
again,
Oh,
and
shit.
Then I'm going to kind of calm down.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh.
Alright. When I come back, though, I have something a song that I think you'll really like.
Okay.
It's going to kind of bore you.
Looking forward.
Google also fucking does clustering shittily.
On YouTube or...
Oh yeah, YouTube is interesting, I guess. YouTube kind of does diversity based on what it's seen of view.
Yes.
Except it's then like optimized for more extreme content, extreme clickbait content. I still have to unfollow a lot, but it's still like YouTube is like the addiction. It's like an addiction generator for me now. Like Time Tracker shows that I spend more time on YouTube than other sites, which is like kind of embarrassing, but it does have a lot of good content.
Yeah, YouTube hit 1 billion watch hours 2 years ago.
1 billion.
And all of the execs were super excited about their new goal. They're gonna get 2 billion watch hours.
Oh god, 2 billion. That's like that's less than 1 watch hour per human. That's
Every day.
Every day. Okay. Oh wow, that's still like a substantial portion of every person's time, and that's even among the people who even have internet access.
Yes. Did you read my essay on this?
On this, no, never. I want to see.
Oh, an essay called "Aligning Recommender Systems with Human Values."
Oh yes, you mentioned this. Like, what exactly are human values? And you said that sometimes it's good. You sometimes argued in favor of sometimes not human, of like allow humans to choose what they want to see rather than choose what society wants them to see. Even if what they want to see is more extreme pro-Trump content or whatever.
Yeah, certainly user agency. It's complicated, but we argue for extrapolated volition. So you should ask.
Oh, coherent extrapolated volition?
Yeah, so the machine should predict what the human will wish they had watched in future.
Okay.
So in a month.
That is coherent extrapolated volition. So then you'd have to predict like if how a human's preference is going to change in the future, because they can totally change depending on.
Right.
Yes.
And you have to optimize for their long-term value.
You have to optimize for the long-term value, which is you have to optimize for what society is going to be like in 10 years or 20 years, and predict how society is going to evolve in that year, which is complicated, because if it evolves in an authoritarian point of view, you're going to have to do CEV based on the preferences if they were all silenced and not open about in the authoritarian society. Whereas it was like a fearless society where people were free to speak what they wanted to say, then it would be optimized for one where people weren't so guarded about what they would say all the time.
Yeah, less long-term societal change has the humans' long-term value. So, like, if, for example, it's something about the short-term political news cycle.
Yeah, short-term political news. Oh, fuck that.
Now, I would prefer to have paid attention to some...
I know! That is what CEV means. Like, for example, CEV means reducing aging rates all the fucking time. That's why there should be more anti-aging content because... because...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the goal is really to have the human be reflective about what it is that they're watching, and then learn that reflectiveness.
Yes.
And impose their reflective judgment on the recommendations that they get.
Yes, yes. Wow. Do you interact much with Paul Cristiano or the CEV other Mirror people?
Paul doesn't work on recommendation, but I interact a lot with Jacob Steinhardt and Dale N. Hetzel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sort of climbed onto the aligned recommendation system.
Aligned recommendation systems.
So the idea here is clear and extrapolated volition. So when you make a recommendation, we want to give the user the recommendation that they'll wish they had gotten a month before, or a week before, in future.
Okay.
So that it's their long-term evaluation self that gets optimized for, as opposed to the short-term, like visceral, emotional, clickbait-seeking version of that.
That sounds really altruistic.
I mean...
Like, Google doesn't have necessarily an incentive to
Oh,
do
sure.
this.
I see. Yeah. Depends on how they conceive of their risk.
Yeah.
At some level, I think there's much more risk from governmental takeover or monopoly breakups than there is risk from competition. And once you're a monopoly, maintaining the monopoly is much more important than incremental improvements in watch time.
Right. Okay. So
the question is, how does YouTube last forever?
Right.
And more than, can YouTube go from 1.5 billion daily watch hours to 1.6 billion daily watch hours?
Okay, so this is making people so the value proposition is people will reflect on YouTube recommending that, people will reflect like a month from now on that, and they'll attribute that to YouTube because YouTube in a certain sense was proactive rather than reactive. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I'm attempting to convince YouTube to upweight a metric, which is learned via survey data.
Yeah.
So you ask users a week to a month after they've experienced some video whether or not they are happy that they watched it.
Right.
And
do they even remember what they watched a month ago?
Yeah. Especially if you show it to them.
Right.
So you say, oh, here are 10 videos you've seen in the past, in the past month. Which of these are you happiest that you watched? Or which do you most validate having watched?
So it's not like...
Which was the best use of your time?
So it's not like, what did you watch on the 29th a month ago? It's more like, oh...
No, not at all.
You show... Okay, I see what you're saying. Right, which is a
so
much...
Which of these were time well spent?
Right. That's a lot more difficult of a metric to compute, isn't it? Right, because the clickbaity one is like, it's just like, oh, did they click it, and then when they watched it, did they finish it, and did they click up and down? Sorry.
So we have anti-clickbait classifiers at this point.
Really?
So with like plenty of weight on them. Yeah. Because otherwise you lose users.
Yeah.
And so clickbait is pretty heavily downloaded.
Really?
Yeah. You have basically a model that is looking at watch time.
Yeah.
It's not looking at clicks. And when a video has a high click rate and a very low watch time, if you watch for 5 seconds and leave, then there's a very strong down rate placed on the recommendations of that video.
Right.
It measures watch time.
Yes.
So then if you only take 5 minutes of attention, it won't recommend you again.
It depends. But if you click on it for 5... So I don't know what to do to that. Both
NDA?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Some of it's public. So,
how about the FriendDA?
No. It's actually been published. So there are multiple objectives. One is watch time. Another is click through. There are other objectives as well. But the thought is basically in the abstract. So I guess it's not about YouTube specifically. It's just a case study. As these attention transforming systems become more powerful, you want to ask, well, how should our attention be mediated by algorithms?
Yeah.
So what is the best metric that we want to optimize our attention for?
Yeah.
And the goal of the research agenda is to ask, can we, in today's systems, start to evaluate whether or not we can build aligned machine learning systems? In this case, in news recommendation, and also in music recommendation, and like information retrieval. So it's like, what should I learn?
Right.
as an alignment problem. And all of these things are like connected to my long-term utility. And ideally, we build machine learning systems that cared about us as opposed to Moloch.
Ads.
Right. Sure.
It's Moloch
But
ads.
even ads is tricky, right? So I guess I could get an ad for some like set of drugs that are going to addict me.
Yeah,
or I could get an ad for a book which will enhance my life.
Yeah. And
it's plausible that like if they were both good recommendations, would make some money for the recommender, for the ad recommender. Can we consistently build systems that, even when they're making money from us, are doing it in a way that we retrospectively approve of?
Right.
Yes, or coherent extrapolability in the future. But then there's also CEV based on what the Chinese Communist Party wants versus...
Sure, of course. There are so many agents.
Yeah.
You want to use it?
Oh, yeah. So...
Also, I'm just talking about my project. So
no, it's so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So if you want to pop in with what you've been thinking about, what have you been thinking about? What's on your frontier?
Turkish... You know Turkish March, right? Of course.
I know Turkish March.
Of course.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
It's Mozart.
Yeah, Mozart. Yeah, it's designed to be easy.
Okay. No. Here, hold on a second.
Oh, disgusting. Do you ever look at does Spotify ever do CEV recommenders? Does Spotify recommender systems work or not?
Yeah, it's a different...
It's still very clustery.
You don't think so much retrospective...
Oh, this is fun.
Oh, this is cool. This is
gets really
different.
interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to just give you a generic Turkish March. Hold on. It's very East meets West. It's a dichotomy and juxtaposition. Hold on a second. You haven't...
Wow. You know how some music teases off themes of
weird,
other
isn't
music?
it?
And then it surprises you by jumping on another theme. I think there's some music that teases you into believing it's true. But music with multiple themes is like...
something in the Near East.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like Arabian or Indian.
I would think it's more... Well, Turkish is Anatolian.
It's RuneScape when you enter Al-Farad.
Oh, I missed that shit, dude. I missed that so badly.
Yeah,
I was like a long RuneScape playlist.
I was a big RuneScape fan as well.
Everyone
I am a big RuneScape fan.
It's a collective experience, content experience.
Oh, but... I mean,
my ex-girlfriend and I go fishing sometimes.
What?
You what?
We go fishing sometimes.
You and your current girlfriend or ex-girlfriend?
Ex-girlfriend.
Fishing.
But
Fishing
still?
is the lamest thing ever.
That's why you do it.
It's why you do it.
Yeah, it's
Is that why you broke
just
up?
because it's funny.
Too much fishing?
You should play with Romeo too. Romeo
plays
plays... What?
Romeo plays RuneScape?
No, Romeo plays MMOs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't played for like 4 months, so I'm almost just...
4 months or 4 years?
4 months.
Oh, gotcha.
I was like logging in every 4 months.
There's a lot of grinding.
Oh my god, yes.
That's why I didn't play. I felt like it was... I felt almost like unethical. I felt like I was being cheated out of my time.
Yeah. I think that's right.
That's why I gave it up in like 5th or 6th grade, because I was like, this isn't right. They're exploiting me for my... I'm not getting any experience. I'm just literally doing thankless labor.
Yeah,
and they're using this weird incentive reward.
I think they were really shocked that people were willing to grind.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. The designers had no idea that people would reach the level.
Well, they had no idea, and that's so fascinating. I didn't know this.
And the grinding culture comes out of people being competitive, but they actually intended people to explore it.
The Dima!
Expect people to try to max out their stats.
Yes.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it went
but then it became that, right? And it became expected and being designed for it.
Well, anything on the internet, as long as you have a critical mass, gets reducto ad absurdum. What were you saying?
Can you start botting?
Hold on, can you turn that down a little bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. I asked if you started botting.
Oh, I didn't, but that would have been the logical next step.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing. The greater people bought.
Yeah.
How much did you merch or play the economy?
I did not get... I'm not super good at I was pretty simplistic.
Okay.
I only got to level 5 or 6, and then my friend was like, oh, I have a level 50 account, And we were like, okay, well, if we like pay for a membership, will you like let us use your account?
Did you
and we were
PK?
like, yeah, and so like.
Did you player kill?
Yeah, I had a few peers. It was very fun.
Peers. Oh yeah, peers.
What's player
God
kill?
damn it.
There's a space in RuneScape called the Wilderness,
Yeah.
where players can attack other players.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when they die, they drop all of their stuff,
Yeah.
especially if they have a skull over their head.
Yeah.
And so it can be profitable if you're very good at killing other players.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Some of it's really fun. Like,
Yeah.
there'll be events that like, or like spaces where you can get tons of experience if you skill in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And you can kill those people, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting because player killers are trying to kill players who are skilling, but other player killers will come try to kill other player killers. Because typically, in order to kill a player, you have to bring very powerful gear,
Yeah.
and you'll drop that if you're skulled and if you attack people. So I don't know.
How do you get skulled?
If you attack, you get a skull. A skull means you lose everything in your
Yeah.
And if you don't attack, then you can save
Yeah.
three items.
Right. In your inventory.
But yeah, so merchant is actually fantastic because if you find some item in the economy, so I guess one of my oldest ones was mithril battle axes.
Yeah.
If you can purchase almost every mithril battle axe in the economy
Yeah.
at some price, so
Yeah.
like 3,000, there will be none left.
Oh,
And the
man.
person who comes will be able to buy one.
Yeah.
So you can sell one of your, say, 10,000 mithril battle axes for 4,000,
Yeah.
making a 1,000 profit on that axe.
Yeah.
That's
Sell
like
it to
what
them
the
in
Russian
Opsipies.
oligarchs did.
In the
Yeah,
grand,
it's a quarter of the market, right?
would you sell this using P2P exchanges or or the central market?
So this only really works on the Grand Exchange.
Yeah.
It's actually a fascinating game
Yeah.
because other people are attempting to corner the market simultaneously.
Yeah.
And you'll often get into battles with other players who you don't know, but whose behavior you can watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
this
Price
isn't.
check.
So this isn't arbitrage. This is just hoarding.
No. It's not. Well, hoarding is interesting. Like, there's no time delay.
Yeah.
So basically, you can purchase every single item on the exchange and then, at the highest price, resell.
Yeah. Because
And
there's also like the idea of arbitrage, right? Which would be
Right.
insider trading. Like,
So-
let's say you know a developer at Jagex and you know a new feature is going to come out, and it would like
Oh, that's
this
investing.
weapon and this weapon.
That's investing, but also a great idea.
Okay, yeah. I guess that's true. I guess arbitrage would be if there was two grand central exchange or two
Right.
grand exchanges
You
and
could
they were
move
like
between
selling. Yeah.
And actually, this was really easy when there wasn't a Grand Exchange. So the Grand Exchange part was to get rid of arbitrage. Because people would mostly trade and sell one another. And, you could say, selling a rune, full rune, 50k in one place, sell it, and then go buy full rune for 40k in another place, and then continuously, sort of swap between them. But yeah, I think that as a middle schooler, it taught me a lot about how to manipulate economies and how to automate behavior. And I guess no matter what game I had played, I played a lot of Civilization,
Yeah.
and it taught me a lot as well. So I guess no matter what game I had played, I'm sure I would have learned things from it. But RuneScape was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like
EVE
Yeah,
Online is actually the MMO for
What is?
school people. EVE Online.
You've played RuneScape.
What?
you have a playlist.
EVE Online has a good playlist too. EVE Online is an MMO that's magnitude more sophisticated than RuneScape or WoW.
Actually,
Oh, really?
Yeah, you never heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I haven't played it.
Okay.
So I don't know what an order of magnitude more complicated means.
I know Alexandra and OpenAI played it.
Sorry, Alexander?
Alexandra and OpenAI.
Alex.
Alexandra. She was at Harvard, but now she's OpenAI.
What's her last name?
I'll have to look it up again.
There are only 7 girls at OpenAI.
Oh, really?
Not that I knew all of them. Yeah.
How many people are there total?
Oh, I don't know anymore. But a year ago, before COVID, when I went, there were 110 people.
Okay. There was also there's this dude who I don't think I've ever met, but he always messages me and he asks for my opinion, and I'm like, why do you want my opinion? Like, I'm dumb as shit compared to you. His name is Jorg.
George Goku?
Yeah.
Wait, what did...
What?
I know.
Yeah.
I guess at present, we have a $2,000 wager.
You like What was the wager on?
3 days ago, we bet that. We bet on York's taking of an exam on the 28th of November. The exam is in abstract algebra. There's a textbook written by Dummett and Foote with the title Abstract Algebra.
Yeah.
And York believes that he can learn the content of the book within 2 weeks. So I'm going to randomly sample 25 questions from the 19 chapters of Dummett and Foote and give them to him as an exam that he has to complete under time pressure. Yeah. And if he gets 70% or above, he wins $2,000.
This is with York.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he gets 70% or below, he owes me $2,000.
Right. Okay. Basically a passing grade.
Yeah.
Do you think he can do it?
I hope he does.
So you'll be happy to pay him $2,000.
Oh yeah, if he wins, I'll be more than happy.
That's not a trivial amount of money.
But I don't expect him to succeed. So
Yeah.
I mean that. We'll see. I'm very happy to incentivize learning. So either way, I feel like
You feel like what?
either way I win. Either my friend demonstrates his incredibly inspiring ability to learn to me.
Yeah.
Or I gain 2K and he learns whatever it is that he learned in the process.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, like.
But York's not an open yet.
Yeah, I know, but he was telling me that he felt like a little bit like Sam Altman was maybe trying to swindle him.
Swindle.
Like you just like he seemed like so socially he comes off kind of as very.
Sam Altman?
He comes off very as like kind of a little bit like I don't know how to describe it. Very like eager and earnest.
Who?
York.
George?
York.
York. I love York. I feel like I can be myself in front of him.
Oh, you didn't know who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Oops. I'm sorry, Alex.
I love York. He loves me too. He is like a one-of-a-kind weirdo. He's like a child, but I love him for it. I feel fear.
He's the affect of a child.
What?
His internal representations are
Childish.
No, they're not. They're actually quite good. But his external affect is incredibly childish.
He's been asking if you're related to Richard Nixon, for example.
Yeah.
It's a question.
What?
I mean, it's not an unreasonable question.
It's not unreasonable. It's what a child would think.
Yeah. Yeah. He was always like messaging me about my ex-roommate, and he's like, "Why did James do this? Why did James do this? Why did James do this?" And I'm like, "James was my ex-roommate."
What's his last name?
Mishra.
James Mishra. Oh, cool.
Oh, have you met him?
Only via Alex's groups, basically.
Yeah.
Mishra.
James Mishra. Yeah.
I don't even know that dude.
Oh my God, who the heck is calling me? Hold on 1 second. My dad is. Hey, Alba, what's up?
Mishra.
What?
You don't know James Mishra?
No.
Oh, okay. What's up?